Hey folks, this is Abel James, and thanks so much for joining us on this special episode of the show. What do real musicians think of AI-generated music? In this special bonus series, you'll hear rapid-fire interviews with remarkable musicians who are using cutting-edge podcasting technology to reinvent the music industry. This is all leading up to the first ever Sats by Southwest Independent Music Summit and our show at Antone's, hosted by the inventor of modern podcasting and legendary MTV VJ, Adam Curry. So grab your tickets and hold on to your hats. You can catch me speaking on the creator panel for the summit at the Bitcoin Commons in downtown Austin on December 15th. Then I'll be opening the show at Austin's home of the blues, Antone's, for Adam Curry's Boostergram Ball on the 16th. This bonus series of episodes with artists and musicians is free of sponsors and outside advertising, so if you'd like to support this show, please share it with someone you think would care about independent music, the world of podcasting and technology and that sort of thing. Or if you're into that world a little bit and you want to experiment, download the Fountain app, set up your Lightning wallet, and then try to send this show or another show a boost or a boostergram with a message. Sounds hard, sounds complicated with lots of lingo, but it's totally worth it. And this, I believe, is the future of podcasting and hopefully the future of music as well. And of course, join us via live stream or in person for the Sats by Southwest Independent Music Summit at the Bitcoin Commons on December 15th and Antone's for Adam Curry's Boostergram Ball on December 16th. You can visit abeljames.com and sign up for the newsletter, and I'll send you all of the live stream details if you can't make it in person. But if you do want to make it in person, make sure to grab your tickets. They're going quickly and there are lots of special goodies as well. All right, we're here today with Johnny Elrod, fellow Texan and drummer for FM Rodeo, who is also going to be playing at Adam Curry's Boostergram Ball at Antone's. In this episode, you'll hear what real musicians think about AI-generated music, how to approach learning a musical instrument in an age of distraction, why having your own music library is way better than Spotify, why labor-intensive hobbies like music that don't have an obvious financial payoff are totally worth it, and much more. And make sure to hang on until the end of this interview to hear a track from FM Rodeo called Rit Jons, which is a total banger. All right, let's go hang out with Johnny. All right, folks, today I'm stoked to be here with Johnny Elrod, the drummer from FM Rodeo. Johnny, how are you doing, man?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me, Abel.
Yeah, so tell me a little bit about your musical background and what brought you to FM Rodeo and rocking out this hard.
Sure. Well, ironically enough, I'm in a band called FM Rodeo with Troy, who's the front man. He's the songwriter, singer, and guitar player. We are a three-piece band. And I met Troy in high school, and the year was 2000. And we're both new to Kerrville, Texas. I came from Midland originally, but I moved there from Azle, Texas, which is by Dallas-Fort Worth. And he moved there from Victoria, Texas, which is over closer to the Gulf Coast. Anyway, we're in theater class, and we, by fate, sat next to each other. And it was first day of school. The theater teacher gave us papers to fill out or to swap. And it's kind of like an interview. And in the interview, I discovered that he loved playing guitar. He loved Nirvana. He loved spaghetti. And basically at that point, right before I went to high school, I had traded my PlayStation first generation for a bass guitar.
Whoa.
And and it was a 3/4 scale bass, and I never knew how to play it. I was trying to strum it like a guitar. I was like, just real dirty, and I had no clue what I was doing. And whenever I met him, I mentioned this, and that he said, I might be able to teach you how to play that bass. I was like, that'd be cool. So we got with our mommies and set up a play date, and I was able to get over there, and he tuned it for me, which was very important.
Yeah.
And then he showed me how to play 3 or 4 notes. And it was What's My Age Again by Blink-182, because that was a hit song just maybe the year before. And as soon as I did it, it felt like just armor just chiseling on my shoulders, and the rock gods were knighting me, and just this feeling, this power of hey man, you have unlocked a skill, or you're developing a skill, or hey, you just get it, like you're able to do it. And so at that point, he taught me all the Nirvana songs, and then I was able to look up tabs and learn how to read them and sort of do my own research. And we kind of like had a little band back in the early days of high school. um cut forward, that kind of sizzled out. And I learned how to play guitar naturally after that, because it's just so much funner. And eventually I was in Indiana visiting my dad. My stepmom is a cleaning lady, and she cleans for a family whose son was in Drum Corps International, and he taught drum lessons. And my stepmom and my dad bought a drum set for my younger brother, and it was in the basement, and he never learned how to play it. And I was always in there just kind of jacking around. Well, she said, "Hey, I give you drum lessons from this guy. He's my client." And I was like, "Sure." So I took drum lessons. He taught me how to read notation. That was after my sophomore year. So junior year, I come back to Texas. I join high school band and get on the drum line, and meet a lot of musicians and start networking. But then drums become my number one thing. It becomes the one that I practice the most. It's more applicable, not to mention around the greater general Austin region, you can't swing a guitar player without hitting another guitar player. So there's so many guitar players, not enough drummers.
Yep.
And I became very marketable at that time, even though I didn't consider it marketable. I just knew, like, hey, there's a shortage of drummers. Let me try doing this. So then got back with Troy in college, and we went to San Marcos and kicked off our band. Back then it was called the Wind Up Bird Chronicle. And we were playing all over Austin, San Antonio, College Station, and San Marcos. And then life hit real fast, and we kind of went our ways again. We started it back up in 2015, but then we called it FM Rodeo. And we went through a couple of different bass players. Again, we're a three-piece band, but that's basically the history of me and Troy's relationship in a nutshell. Whenever I was kind of off, I went back to Midland and worked in an oil field and did all the stuff. I fell in love with all different sorts of types of music, including blues and country. And I joined a lot of bands and, kind of kept myself busy, keep the wheels greased, so to speak, right? And I was able to learn what they call Texas country, which is also red dirt country. It's kind of like cross between classic country and rock music, Southern rock, maybe. Lots of blues, and then did a lot of cover band gigs and stuff. That really helped increase my chops and kind of get out there and get my name out there. And by the time I got back over this direction and we kicked off FM Rodeo, I had better chops, a better understanding of music, definitely better dynamics. The early days was just loud and fast. Now it's more dynamic driven, as well as I would say more steady on the tempo. And so that sort of sums up a lot of that in a nutshell.
And it's probably useful to be in a band as well as the drummer who understands at least a little bit about what the guitarist is up to, what the bassist is up to, kind of the harmony that's going on in the background, right?
Yeah, being able to play different instruments and kind of understand the rhythms behind what the other guys are doing. And also, I guess what I call pre-production, when we're sort of formulating songs and everything, say Troy writes all the songs and brings the canvas that's pretty much got the foundation on it. But then we got to come up with a beat, and then the bass player, sometimes the bass player help me, sometimes I'll help the bass player come up with some ideas on, hey, what will help fortify this, make this one a little bit different than the other songs, let's tweak it, let's add a twist, let's do a couple of other arrangements and sort of give this thing a little bit of flair. And of course, it helps to know the other instruments so you can speak the same language.
What about just balancing your real life with playing music over the years? What does that look like for you and the band?
It's been pretty tough. I mean, when I was in college, I was working at Sonic Drive-In, which is a fast food restaurant. And we could navigate it pretty nicely back then. I mean, we didn't give a care in the world.
Right.
If I missed my shift, then it's like, all right, fire me. I don't care. I mean, I did, but like whatever. uh, I ended up going into air conditioning, which made it a little bit trickier because sometimes in the summer, especially, we'd have to have on-call schedules. But most of the gigs were Friday night, Saturday night. A lot of times, we were able to just deal with it. But as far as going on tour, summertime had been, just a hard pass, unfortunately, because that's usually the best time to go on tour because the weather's not going to be, frozen tundra.
Yeah.
And us Texas boys, we don't know how to drive in the snow anyway.
Right.
But I mean, I started an air conditioning business, and I'm able to navigate through my schedule with a lot more ease as we're growing the company and deal with the music and sort of and get rolling and everything. Again, it's tough to do those tours, but at the same time, I think there's a very specific there's a very specific strategy to doing a tour, and I think that my own anchor is probably also my savior, because a lot of times people go on tour, they don't have it planned, they're playing into empty crowds, they're spending tons of money which could be allocated towards marketing or anything else. And but it's, to answer your question, it's rather tricky. It's hard to be a full-time musician and pay the bills and afford a lifestyle at the same time. Your schedule tends to open up for opportunities. And that's the other crazy thing about doing this music thing is an opportunity is always around the corner, and you always get these crazy offers just when you're about to take a break or quit or hang up or anything like that. And so, it's sort of like you just keep going and then it keeps building. It's a very long burn.
Maybe you already answered this, but why do you play music? Why do you spend time doing something that takes so much energy, and you also need to keep practicing, right? You almost lose your chops if you don't really keep disciplined about all this, no matter what instrument you play. So how do you keep going? Why do you keep going? Especially for the non-musicians listening out there, what is going through your head? How are you wired this way?
Well, it's sort of like this. By the time you spend all the time marketing a show, booking the show, getting a bill put together, practicing the set, loading the drums, transporting the drums, setting the drums up, dealing with the sound guy, dealing with the bands that are going to run late, then boom, downbeat. And then it becomes the performance. And with that performance comes an adrenaline rush, gratitude like no other, and just to put it plain and simple, it's my passion. I don't get this feeling from anything else. There's no drug, there's no woman, there's nothing else that can replace the feeling of performing in front of a packed or sold out audience. And hell, even if it's not packed or sold out, as long as people are enjoying themselves, it's extremely gratifying. And that's what keeps driving me. Also, I do love releasing new music and creating videos. Behind the scenes, whenever the band can't do a lot of things, a lot of times I'll make videos and edit it, because that's another way for me to be expressive with art. And hell, if I get 11,000 views, I feel like I did good, and that's an obtainable goal. And we don't even always obtain that, but it's something, like I said, it's my passion, and it's very gratifying, and so I keep pushing. And it also helps that I teach music on Tuesdays at a local music school in Dripping Springs. And so I get my hands on some sticks, and I'm able to warm up. And whenever these kids level up on a piece, there's something else. It's like that chiseled armor I was talking about. Now they've achieved it,
Yeah. What's the process look like for a lot of people who have said oh, I want to play guitar, I want to play drums, I want to do that someday, but they never kind of link up and make that happen? How do you help people get over that hump as a music teacher, especially?
Well, it's difficult because it all comes down to personality
Yeah.
and also motivation. But I think that what I do is I find, talk to somebody who they're interested, but they're just sort of like on the fence about jumping in feet first. And I kind of talk to them about their inspirations, why they think guitar is cool, or why they think that the drums are cool, who's their favorite drummer, what's their favorite song and beat, and show them how easy it is to strip it down and find the backbeat and feel the groove, and then push forward. And like I said, it's tough because there's a lot of different personalities on the pie chart, but once you sort of find out that motivational factor, you just kind of keep pushing. And also, man, when I came up, I know I don't look like it, but I'm older than I look. And we had to go to the library and get books and, kind of, there's something in that, in just that right there. Finding that book, that Led Zeppelin book, or that whatever it is. And then, you finally have it in your hands and you appreciate it so much more. You open the book, you read it, you obtain that knowledge. Whereas now you go to what we call YouTube University, where it's like clack, clack, clack. Oh, okay. Somebody already has a tutorial for free, and I could watch it while I'm laying in bed or, sitting in a car. And it's so easy, and it's a great tool, and it's beautiful to utilize. The problem is some people may not appreciate it as much as the effort it took to get to that place. And that's a whole nother conversation. But, you, like I said, you just sort of find out what motivates somebody and make it easy, put those tools in their hands and just be enthusiastic about it. And then I think that they start showing that appreciation.
Yeah. That's such a good point too about like kind of drinking from the fire hose of modern music education that's online, because like it is just remarkable and insane that we have access to all of this stuff, especially for free. But the problem is like the business models of these platforms that have these videos, whether it's social media and short form like Instagram or TikTok, because a lot of musicians are on there and a lot of educators as well, or longer form like YouTube. All of those are built to kind of like shuffle everyone into these rabbit holes. So it's like you start there, it's like, oh, I want to learn bass guitar, and you're watching this, and then all of a sudden you see this thumbnail, you see this other thing, and then you're watching classic car videos, then you're watching conspiracy series, and it's like you're not playing the bass anymore. And that is the problem, because like I had a similar experience growing up in the middle of nowhere in New Hampshire. I was so psyched to find my first bit of sheet music for like an Eric Clapton guitar song, because I was just like, they have music for guitar, like what is this? And it was just glorious. For months I spent like just nestled up with these books, studying sheet music, practicing scales and stuff like that. And there's a lot of limitation there, so I couldn't learn every song. I wasn't exposed to a lot of stuff that like you can listen to anything you want now, but you did kind of build this intrinsic motivation that I think a lot of people now, especially coming up later than us, don't necessarily have, because it's just so easy to be distracted and kind of like have your energy fractured. And if you really want to learn an instrument and get good at it, you need to spend a lot of time just sitting on a chair playing, doing nothing else, right? Nothing else.
Absolutely. And to your point, people, I mean, we're easily distracted, and especially since we've been conditioned and trained to be distracted. And I mean, here's a good case in point. Whenever I learned, say, Santeria by Sublime, the guitar solo, which as a teenager is a little difficult for me, practiced it, hammered it out over and over and over and over. I had the book, and so I was reading the tablature, and I retained that knowledge. I could pick up a guitar in the middle of the night. I wake up at 4 a.m. and I could, if it's in tune, just rip that solo out.
Yeah.
Now, I learned during that snowpocalypse that we had a couple years ago in Texas when we had no power. I was learning songs on piano, and I learned Still Dre by Dr. Dre, and I learned Bohemian Rhapsody, and I forgot all of it because I didn't care. I didn't practice it, but it was also just something I didn't retain as much because it was too easy to look up the video and then they just showed you. There was no eureka or aha moment to where you find whenever you're striving on your own with the bare bones utilities that we came up with.
Yeah, because you can own it more, right? Like I remember the way that I learned a lot of guitar licks back in the day was I had this just like ancient Digitech RP3, I think, guitar
Oh,
pedal that allowed me to like record little clips from the radio or tape player or CD, whatever, and then slow it down to half speed or a quarter speed. So I was like listening to Jimi Hendrix and Stevie Ray Vaughan at like the slowest speed possible, and then just kind of like ramping it up and turning the knob. But since I was turning all the knobs myself, and since I was just like experiencing that time of just joy, not being distracted, I felt like full ownership of like learning how to play guitar that way. Whereas like now, if you're watching a Polyphia video or something like that and watching the tutorial of some of these just insanely talented, specialized technical guitar players, it's all laid out for you. It's almost like boring. It's like, why would I even learn this? Someone else just did it, right?
it's something, there's something to be said about that. Not only about the analog and to dial, literally dial in onto the thing, but at the same time, it's if you listen to a song and you hear the majestic sounds that the sound engineer and the master and the artist just kind of molded all these sounds together, and it's you're listening to it in your car, you're dealing with a breakup, or you got these emotions, and it's doing its job, right? It's pulling these emotions out of you. But then you see somebody play it and they make it look easy, and then they put the tabs on the thing, and it's like, oh shit, it's just a 6 8 8 8 6, like it sort of takes a little bit of that majestic away as well. And I don't want to be an elder millennial and piss and moan about the technology and the new generation, but it is extremely fascinating where we've come along with not only just learning our instruments and dialing in on our skills, but also marketing. Growing up, I used to print off flyers. I used to make flyers on Microsoft Paint.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I'd pull assets illegally off the internet, put them on there. They'd be blurry as hell, but I didn't care. And Wind Up Bird Chronicle, the Murdochs, and put flyers together, take them to the print shop, print them off, cut them by hand, hand out little handbills, staple and tape the big flyers on all the places in the college towns and stuff. And now it's like everything's basically digital, social media platforms, and not to mention that if you have a really cool flyer and you post it in front of your fan base and stuff, all you gotta do is pay like $50, and then you can mass produce it out towards your demographic that you're targeting, which is cool. And it's not, I mean, it's, I got mixed feelings. I think we all do about how things are versus the old guerrilla marketing days.
It does feel like, though, there's still a little bit of the guerrilla marketing in some towns, like Austin, certain pockets of it anyway. There's definitely a resistance to the way that things have gone. And it doesn't have to be like old men shouting at clouds. I'm also an elder millennial. I think there are definitely pros and cons to each side of this. It's just like worth acknowledging that, especially for people coming up and wanting to learn an instrument, there are multiple ways to go about this. And some of them are probably going to be a lot better for you. And I know for me, just being shut in a room, like musicians call it the shed, you just go out in the shed and you play and you practice and you build discipline, and that becomes very, very rewarding, not right away, but down the line. And so you don't just have to learn from tutorials. And also I would add that adding some level of like real person interaction to this whole thing is so important. Like having an actual teacher, even if you just go a few times with them to kind of like make sure you're not building the wrong habits as you learn, that is so critical. Would you agree as a music teacher yourself?
Bingo, 100%. It's sort of like, you learn the bad habits or the wrong way, and it's hard to unlearn that.
Yeah.
And so if you just want to get the basic rudiments on how to hold your sticks, how to hold your hands, make it what we call ergonomical, especially whenever you're getting into your later 30s where your back will like just, destroy itself.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you can find a buddy or a teacher or tutor or somebody in some type of network to show you the basics, and that will help you accelerate. It'll also boost your confidence. It'll definitely fast track you towards, what a fret is or what a G string is. It's not what you think, it's something different. And it's definitely 100% better to have somebody to kind of school you a little bit and dial you in on don't make this bad habit. Hold your hands like this. Keep your thumb behind the fretboard or the neck, and this or that. And so that's 100% extremely helpful, because once you sort of get on the track and you know you're taking off on your horse, it's off to the races. Whenever you have the books that you finally learn how to read the tablature, or you want to use the internet or whatever tools at your dispense. It's not to mention too, when you do start developing your skills, it's great to have a network around you, so then you can apply these skills. You can jam with other musicians, and there's no other feeling like that. The only thing better than jamming with musicians at Picker Circle or at your home is performing live on a stage and blowing people's minds.
Do you think we're all built for a different instrument?
That's interesting to think about. I would say definitely, if I think about it, because I mean, a lot of people are naturally good at singing. They have a cool voice, they have great hearing, and they just get it, naturally. I've taught drum students for quite a while now, and I think that some people naturally get it or they naturally don't. I think anybody can learn the drums, but some people might take a bit longer to get that coordination down. And then also you got to hold your interest. You got to keep maintain that motivation. It's really difficult because, like, guitar, for example, is an extremely versatile instrument, and you can get punk rockers or heavy metal rockers, and you tap in and all this stuff. But then you also got sort of like nerdy classical guys or bluesy guys, and so it's an interesting thing. I think that I believe that people have a natural affinity towards certain skills and certain instruments or playing types. I know that most of the time, if you have ADD, then you're going to probably make a great drummer.
Yeah, maybe great at a lot of the instruments. That's definitely seems to be a shared quality.
Right. No doubt.
But yeah, we're all kind of like drawn to different archetypes at some point, and every instrument has people have different responses to it. Have you kind of, it sounds like while drums have kind of been your main instrument for a long time, you still enjoy dipping into some of the other ones. What's that all about?
So for me, I've never been a strong songwriter, and I don't really consider myself an artist in regards to creating art, writing songs, and kind of putting my own stuff out there. I sort of support artists, and so I am utilized as accompaniment or utility in general for the most part. But what I can do is add layers to sounds and have fun with it. And I think that a lot of it is therapy. Playing guitar, learning how to sing songs. I'm not a strong vocalist, but when I'm at home, I do enjoy it. And something about it, whenever I'm out of breath and my blood veins in my forehead are popping out because I'm trying to do my best Kurt Cobain or whatever. At the end of it, I sleep really good just because it was so fun, even though there wasn't an audience, or and if I taped it, I looked at it and I deleted it because I wasn't impressed by the actual performance. But it's still, that's not the point of it all the time. The point of it is to feel good about yourself, to be expressive, to have confidence in your own. And with the other instruments, with the drums, it's not really necessarily a melodic instrument. And so the guitar, I could play chords or I could play solos or melodies. I injured my finger somewhat recently, and so I'm not sure how long that's going to take to heal. So I started banging out chords on the piano. So same thing, I have a whole bunch of lyrics with the chords above it, where I could play it on guitar and just, as long as I know the melody, I can have fun with it. Well, I just took that same music and put it in front of a piano, and I got more proficient at the piano by just doing it over and over and over and over and over. And I've got some Beatles songs that I love that I've been working on, that I'm impressed with myself that I was able to achieve unlock this skill. And it definitely something about challenging yourself and then meeting your goal boosts your confidence and it boosts that self-esteem and everything else. And like I said, you don't have to necessarily play it in front of a camera and put it on TikTok or play it in front of an audience. If you know, if you're the personality type that, say that you're shut in, music's still good. It's still for you. It's for everybody, I think. And the versatility is another fun thing too. I don't know if maybe that's part of that ADD, but also I always dreamed of, hell, that mandolin sounds really cool. I learned how to play it and dreamed of being a great mandolin player, but I know what it's going to take. And I don't think I got the time to do it. And part of that is I'm tired of lugging the drums around to all these gigs and stuff. I just daydream about playing harmonica or ukulele or mandolin or something. But all in all, it's just fun. It's just a great pastime, great hobby, great passion.
What about in the past few years, kind of with the advent of AI, just coming out with so much writing, so many kind of like generative recordings and things like that. As a musician, how do you feel about that? And also, like, what are you looking at in the future of music?
Well, I think that as a musician, I hate it.
Yeah,
it's absolutely horrid. I'm not gonna hold back any punches on that. And the reason I say that is, I mean, AI could be utilized as a tool, but at the same time, it could also be utilized as a fraudulent imposter sort of misleading and disingenuous sort of approach to music. It is very interesting because this is where things are evolving. When they started sequencing drums, I felt similar to the same way. Like, oh, come on. I mean, there's an art to it, and there's sort of, I tried sequencing drums. It's really hard. It's not easy to learn and just do. But to me, it's sort of definition, right? Playing a drums is a skill, and you're a drummer. If you have this really cool magic board that lights up and it looks like a child's toy, and you push a button and it just drops a pretty shuffle, you're not a drummer, and you're not that doesn't make you a musician. You're just playing with a toy. But if you craft that with layers of sound and you create this thing utilizing these tools, then we're treading into something completely different.
Yeah.
And AI at the main approach is, well, I could take a Snoop Dogg song, make Hank Williams Sr. sing it, and I'm gonna drop it. If it gets 10 million views, I get a paycheck. I think that's I think it's fun to hear what it would, but it's also a bit creepy.
Yeah.
Because you're sort of taking liberties with other people's likeness and their lyrics and stuff. But I think that people are going to utilize AI to say, hey, I got an idea for a song, but I don't want to do the work, or I don't have the originality or the creativity to paint the canvas with my own words. They can use AI as a tool. And as you can tell by my approach to this, I'm not super thrilled about it, but I guess I can get it. And I feel like that's going to be the future of music. But at the same time, the future of music it's in dire straits because there's just so much of it now, and it gets watered down. Especially the same old formulas. It's tough to create a punk band that's going to be big now. It's tough to create an alt rock band that's going to, Nirvana has been done, Smashing Pumpkins, Hendrix has been done. When's the last time you heard a great blues album that was new?
Yeah.
It's been done. I think that music can go one of two ways, and it will probably go both, and then it's probably going to just keep going in circles. It's going to probably rotate back and forth like a lot of trends, but one, AI is going to take over, and people are going to be like, yo, that beat's dope, and they're going to go with it. But you see a lot of that with TikTok and that short form viewership, where people are just wired to like a thing. And that's why tribute bands are so popular, because it's the nostalgia, and it's like people are looking up at these tribute bands like they're golden gods, where in reality they're great and they're proficient at their instruments, but they're not necessarily creating art. But people are just trained to, conditioned to have that be drawn towards that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the other thing I think that would be the future of music is more genre bending. And what I mean by that is take some EDM, take some, like David Bowie-esque lyrics, something that's fun and, really kind of prolific. Drop in a raging scream punk guitar riff, and then you dial it back down with a cool lounge sort of bass line. And, it's kind of like Polyphia does with, and they weren't the first by any means, but, a steady backbeat, it's been done before. It's been done before. And so people might want to start hearing something that's quirky and unique and just sort of like grabs you and makes you feel takes you on an emotional roller coaster. I think that there's going to be more stuff like that going out there, that's, appeals to the people like me with a crazy, brain that's just like ding, 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 firing on all cylinders all the time. But, who knows? I know that technology, like I said, I can piss and moan about it, but it's coming whether we like it or not.
Well, speaking of that, what about value for value and kind of these developments in that space? Because for me, when I found that whole world, I'm just like, oh, this could be interesting.
Absolutely. And let's do a preface to that and kind of tie it in together.
Yeah.
So growing up, you had you made demos on cassette tapes, or by that time we were burning CDs, and you could pitch them to A&R people, and you get in or you don't. I think at best, if you get in on a circuit with, Warped Tour or something, and you might be able to get on like Tom DeLonge's, label or something. Now things are different. There's not really there's not a lot of albums going out, and then of course there's not a lot of album sales anymore. Everything's streamed, for better, for worse. The main thing about all of this is two things, I guess you could say. One, Spotify is the king of the streaming, and they suck because they don't pay out very well. I mean, I know people with millions of streams, and I was like, okay, this is what I get. All right. At the same time, it is a platform for you to get it out there. And for instance, FM Rodeo, we've released 12 or 13 songs. We never would have been able to publish this 15 years ago the way that we did.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're able to, if I walk up to a stranger in Anchorage, Alaska, and say, hey, I'm Johnny, I play drums with FM Rodeo, give me your phone. Literally 3 seconds later, Jody, there you go. Yeah. We're in your phone. You couldn't have done that before, But going back to it, it's sort of that technology changing. And might I add, everybody's releasing songs daily. So again, we're watering down the thing. It's not necessarily a exclusive platform. But the point is, it does suck because if you do start getting traction, the pay is bad. And then it's sort of like the old boys club, right? Well, Foo Fighters and Doja Cat and all these people, they're not going to have any trouble releasing a song and immediately getting viral, sort of algorithms in their favor. Mm-hmm. Because they're a big name, one, but two, like their people will, flick their little button and make it happen. Now, I was introduced to this thing called Value for Value podcasting from my friend Cody Nichols, who is a DJ, morning DJ in Kerrville, Texas, for 94.3, the Rev FM, the Rock of Texas.
Nice. I listened to that, yeah.
Yeah, so Cody, we're doing some interviews and performances over at a station, and he got all excited. He's like, I got to tell you something when we go on commercial break, our next commercial break. Comes back, he's like, I met this guy, Adam Curry, who's the video jockey of Headbangers Ball, and he's original podcast maker. Yeah. He's been on Rogan's podcast like 2 or 3 times, and great personality. And Adam Curry is involved in this Value for Value podcast, and I'm sure those who are listening by now know what it is. But the thing is, it'd be awesome for this grassroots campaign to spread out. Tell your friends about it. And when he told me about it, I was like, okay, yeah. First of all, as a musician, as somebody who's wanting to grow, I'm up for putting my music out on any avenue that is gonna create more discovery.
Yeah.
Second of all, our music has been featured on Adam Curry's podcast, which is such an honor,
Yeah.
to hear him say FM Rodeo, is like, holy cow, it felt good.
Yeah.
It's
I
great.
felt the same way.
And then not to mention, last but not least, the Satoshis, the bit, the cryptocurrency, the whole idea that people are going to be able to tip you, and they do, and it's amazing. I've got more in cryptocurrency in the last probably 13 months than I have in the last 2.5 years, with releasing Spotify and pushing that Spotify.
Yeah.
Whenever I dropped it on Wavelake, I didn't have to even push it or market it or put any effort into that. And the next thing you know, 34,000 Satoshis. The next thing you know, 78,000 Satoshis. And so it's growing. I'll admit I was a little skeptic at first about cryptocurrencies because, like, ooh, it's scary. It's something new. It's something that we're not really used to. But I mean, we weren't used to iTunes at first. We weren't used to iPods or streaming. Napster was like a kind of a scary deal. We thought Lars Ulrich was going to knock on our door.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I say all that to say this: cryptocurrency has been around. It just took a huge jump, so it ain't going anywhere anytime soon. And also, you don't have to have cryptocurrency to enjoy what we're doing here. It's just part of the fun. It's part of the community. If anybody loves art and they love music, if you throw $20 in your crypto wallet and you're listening to an Ainsley Costello song or an FM Rodeo song or SOB song, and you're like, damn, I dig that. Drop $2 in Satoshis into as a tip. And it's kind of like if you see a street performer jamming their ass off, and you go and you drop a couple of dollars in their bucket, it adds up for them, and it makes it worth them to keep coming out and performing. And so the same thing, dare I say, it gives grace towards the community of musicians to keep on, because a lot of us are looking down the barrel of I've been doing this for a long time and haven't really got much gratification out of it. We sort of are always on the cusp of hanging it up for a while, if not forever. I've seen so many musicians that are talented that had kids or started a family or whatever reason, or had started a different type of career, and they just never had. I'm not saying Satoshi's is going to be their, replace their career. It could. Yeah. It could, but you're not only gaining revenue from the Value for Value Podverse, you're also gaining more you're gaining more fans from the discovery. I mean, people who are listening to these podcasts, it's kind of like the good old days when you're listening to the radio, except for there's far less commercials and virtually none.
Yeah.
And you're listening, and the DJs are talking, or the podcasters are talking about your music a little bit, and it's people, whenever they hear the song, they're like, I dig that. And then you tell a fun fact about the band. Oh, they're from Texas and they have they're a 3-piece or whatever. It's that much more interesting. It gives them a little bit more of a I guess you could say value towards that knowledge, or kind of gives them a little bit of more, feeds that interest. And it is a great platform. We've been featured on several different podcasts. I've made friends with a lot of different podcasters, and a lot of them come to our shows. I mean, if you're a musician and you're on the fence, jump off and go towards Wavelake and upload a couple songs. Reach back to Abel, reach back to Phantom Power, reach back to Jim Costello or Cody Nichols, Mike Newman. Reach out to some of these guys and say, hey, I just uploaded some new material. Hope you like it. And let it rip. What can you lose out of the deal? And I'm going to tell you, the answer is nothing. Maybe 15 minutes, but you're going to get paid for your time no matter what. And like I said, you increase your chances of discovery. And what are we doing this for if not for sharing our music with the world?
Yeah, and it like also brings up the idea of I remember growing up and just loving having a tape collection, a record collection, CD collection that was like yours. When you wanted to listen to a song, you could. Didn't need internet connection, didn't need to like ask for permission or go through some platform that's like putting other stuff in the middle before you can listen to what you really want to listen to, or listen to ads first, whatever it was. And so like
Hmm.
that's in the years since, we don't really have ownership over our, I don't want to call it like a media library, but like the music that's sacred to us, the music that means something to us, right? Like the collection of books that you have is similar to music and DVDs. That whole thing has gone away. So now it's just like we have this queue on Netflix or on Spotify of just like lots of mediocre music. Not everything that you want to see, just like some of it mixed in with other stuff that they want you to see, mixed in with ads, mixed in with other things. So we have like no real. And also, like you listen on Spotify to someone's music. If I'm listening to FM radio, it's like I'm not commenting there. I'm not like leaving a tip in a tip jar. I don't have a chance to like say that I love your music or interact with you in any way. And also, if I stop paying my 10 or 20 bucks a month or whatever to whatever service that is, you lose your entire library of music that's sacred to you. And that is something that I don't want to carry into the future. And I think that this kind of like podcasting alternative that allows people to download it and actually have a connection with the people who put out the music, whether it's leaving a comment or sending a little micro payment or like some sort of reposting of their music. Like we need that interactivity again to really have music be meaningful to us once more. Because right now it's just oversaturated, so much mediocre stuff. We don't know who's on the other end. If we can make those human connections again, I think it's going to be really meaningful for us.
Absolutely. And I think that that's exactly right. Spotify and those other streaming platforms, they do lack a sense of community. If you stop paying and you lose your thing. And not to mention, just take Netflix and say like any of these streaming platforms that watch TV on. When you paid your dues, it's cool, commercial free, right? But then they're like, we changed our minds.
Right.
We'll do it commercial free if you pay more. So what's to stop them from doing that with Spotify? Especially if, God forbid, they start paying their artists. And so, but going back to your point, absolutely, there's a sense of community in the podverse, as well as if you're in Nashville and you're digging FM Rodeo, you're not going to see us on the street in Austin and just drop the $2 in our bucket. But if you're checking us out on these on the podverse, then you can do that, and it's very rewarding for us, very gratifying, and it shows it's a token of appreciation. That's something that none of these other streaming platforms have to offer. And then also, just in case anybody that's an artist that is listening to this, if you didn't know, you can do both.
Right.
You can put your music on Spotify, and you can also put it on Wave Lake and be discovered on Fountain as well. So I mean, like, do both.
I dig it. Johnny, awesome. This has been so much fun. So where can people find FM Radio's music? And also just quick plug for the show on December 16th. We're both playing a show live at Antone's for Adam Curry's Boostagram Ball. So whether you can join us in person, that would be amazing, or join the live stream. Definitely don't miss that one. So Johnny, where can people find you?
Absolutely. We are on fmrodeotx.com, and we're on Instagram under FM Rodeo Texas. There's a great country tribute cover band in Wisconsin called FM Rodeo, unfortunately, but also fortunately. You just got to find the Texas one. They're out there too. So FM Rodeo Texas on Instagram. We have a fun YouTube channel. I'm actually uploading a live video today as well.
Nice.
So YouTube is a good one for us. And our website, fmrodeotx.com. And yeah, December 16th, Monday, it's less than 2 weeks at the legendary Antone's. That's where Stevie Ray Vaughan was coming up and creating quite the ruckus and building a scene for the blues revival of the 80s and early 90s. And so I am looking forward to that, man. I didn't ever think that I was going to bring a punk band to Antone's and have an opportunity to do this. You can get your tickets for that show on satsbysouthwest.com. That's SATSBYSW.com. Please buy your tickets in advance. You'll save a little bit of money, and they will properly staff the venue for us since they know that how much volume we're going to be pushing. Where else can you find us? That's pretty. Oh, we do have a TikTok for those who are the TikTokers, and of course, find us on Fountain.
Awesome. Johnny, thank you so much for joining us here today. This is awesome.
Thank you so much, John. It's been my pleasure.
Thanks for joining us on this show with Johnny. If you'd like to stick around, next up we're going to be playing one of FM Rodeo's tunes, which is a total banger, called Rit Jons. And don't forget to boost in using a modern podcasting app. Send us a small little lightning micro payment, and it's automatically shared with artists. I've set that up with modern podcasting technology, and the folks over at Podhome, shout out to Barry, are awesome. Thank you so much for helping me get set up with this. So without further ado, let's rock out and hear from FM Rodeo. This is Rit Jons.
generation. Lost generation.